All right, fellas, yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and we have a very special video for you guys today that I've been wanting to watch for a while. Have you ever wanted to see how sweaty you gotta get? How much food prep, meal prep, caffeine prep, shiny prep, egg prep? Have you ever wanted to see what it takes to be one of the best shiny hunters in all of PokeMMO? The link for this video will be first thing in the description. Please go check it out, give it a like, and possibly subscribe. Danny, one of the best shiny hunters in all of PokeMMO, making some of the most interesting content. He is here to literally giving away all the secrets. He is literally telling people how they won Shiny Wars 2025. This is Field Team 7, the Super Bowl winner, the best shiny hunters of 2025, giving away all their secrets and all their information and talking about what it took. What does it truly take to be one of the best shiny hunters in PokeMMO? I think I have an idea, but let's give it a watch.
What is going on, guys? My name is Danny. My in-game name is Shine, and today I'm going to be telling you how we on Field Team 7 won the PokeMMO Shiny War 2025. Every major leadership decision we made in the process, and try to help you if you're an aspiring team leader, or even if you just want some more knowledge on how this event works to determine if first place is something you would like to go for in the future.
He brings up a few great points. Number one, people don't realize how many decisions you have to make off the bat. Even before you start, people think, oh, Shiny Wars is so easy, you just shiny hunt. It's so much more complicated. Building your team is one of the hardest things you can do. Not letting certain people into your team because they can't play enough hours. What questions do you ask? How do you even figure out? One of the biggest things in Shiny Wars is you want to have a team with everybody having the same goals. Do they want to go for first place? Do they really know what it takes to get first place? That's a huge thing. One of my favorite things to ask people is how many hours can you play in the week or each week, right? How many hours can you play? Do you have a vacation scheduled? Asking people legitimately, like, are you married? Do you have like a kid? What obligations do you have that might hold you back from, it's really, really intense, man. It's like being the best basketball player, the best footballer, like whatever it may be. Being the best at anything do you have a life? Do you have a life outside of this? There's a reason why we see people like Tom Brady fucking getting divorced and trading in his family to be the best football quarterback, probably football player of all time. It takes sacrifice to be the best, even at something like PokeMMO, which may seem silly to some, but I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a truly difficult task. The second thing, what was the second thing he brought up? I already forgot.
Future.
But yapping.
Now, I decided to do this in the form of a PowerPoint because I am more focused on providing information than I am in providing entertainment. I don't consider myself a content creator.
I think Danny's a great content creator. He is very much not to speak for him, very much a type A. He is what we call a spreadsheet king. He is a spreadsheet king. And without spreadsheet kings, I'm a type B guy. I'm a, emotional, yap, dumb, bad joke, blah, blah, blah. This guy is the backbone of society. He is a fucking spreadsheet king. Without him, we would all fall apart.
More that I make a video when I feel like I have something to provide with that video, or sometimes just for fun. I thought the PowerPoint would give me something to throw on screen for some guidance while not distracting from the points actually being made. First thing I'd like to do is set your expectations for what this video is. This is a guide on getting first place in PokeMMO Shiny Wars. If anything in this video makes you think, wow, that's crazy work, it's because it is crazy work. I'm so glad he mentions this. It is literally what it takes to be the best in the world. Just want to be top 50, top 25, top 10, whatever. Some of these points will not be as relevant to you, but they will give you a helpful outline of generally how to play War. For a little bit of history, we on Field Team 6 lost Shiny War 2024. Ginger Matt, Nuzlocke, and myself were all Field Team 6 alumni, with Nuz being a former leader of the team. Together, the three of us formed Field Team 7, and for the rest of the year theorized on what the future could hold. The three things that we thought would obviously come was a shorter duration. 2 months was way too long for an event like this. We assumed
the first Shiny War was 2 months, and about 2 weeks in, everybody realized, holy shit, this event is way too long. Yeah, if you don't know, Field Team 6 was their team version or variant that lost the first team war, and they ended up they had also during that first team war, the first Shiny War, they had on their team, not his fault, Karoshi, the driest dry streak in the history of PokeMMO at 475,000 encounters dry happened during the first Shiny War.
31 days, and we were pretty close. It was 28 days. We also thought that the event could really not go on unless some kind of duplicate clause was added, as Field Team 6 members and ETG and ALO farmed dozens.
Those are the other top 3 teams, ETG and then ALO. Now you can see Shiny War number 1 was widely considered Cryogonal Wars and like Cubchoo Wars because there was a spot that was so broken during the winter time that it was a big balancing problem. It was still a great event in my opinion overall, but it had massive glaring problems that needed to be fixed in the following year, which they think they did a fantastic job. You know, you have to see an event play out to really know how to solve things. Where Cryogonal, everybody just basically sat at one spot for the final 3 weeks of the event. It was just really unfun for every player in the event. Like you have to there were players that ended the first Shiny War with like 10 to 20 Cryogonals. Could you imagine having 20 shinies of the same species? Nobody wants that. Nobody wanted that many duplicates. It was just the best thing to hunt.
Of Cryogonals and Cubchoos. And it really just wasn't as exciting as we thought the event staff wanted. And on a related note, we thought it was obvious that they would lower Cryogonal's points, as it was a pretty...
Also, it's really important to mention, they started preparing for the Shiny Wars number 2 as soon as the first Shiny War ended. There was no, like, very little grieving time, very little... Like, even in the middle of that war, I remember there are Discord logs of them being like, I'm prepping eggs for next year on the same day that this Shiny War, the first Shiny War ended.
Clear oversight. It was the only 5 horde that was worth 10 points. And apparently they decided against that. But 2 for 3 on the predictions is not bad. So war did not start for us on July 11th. For us, war started almost immediately after Shiny War 2024 ended.
Yeah.
We spent the next year scouting players and building up a Discord server with all our potential members. Personally, just a week after War 2020.
I did not know that. So that's he skipped over it so fast, but that's fucking insane. They started a Discord as soon as the first war ended, scouting players for the rest for a year.
I had a list of 15 players that might be good pickups, and 5 of those scouted players from that initial list so long ago ended up actually being on the roster.
That's
for
crazy.
Team 7.
They basically like took some of the other top performers from the first war and moved them over to their team if they were willing to be on it. That's crazy.
Then we made a prep channel in the Discord to encourage players to grind before the war, saving a lot of mid-war headache and making things much smoother all around.
Look at this fucking, oh my god, the information in the numbers. Look at this. Danny dittos 23,460 out of this man had 23,000 dittos stored up before the event started. Pookie John 23,400. Was this like the required amount? Lepa stack 25,000 Lepas. 11,000. 6,700 fossils stored up.
As a side note, I actually do
I want to see why this number. I'm so interested.
think this is the reason we won the war. I think without this prep, we would have run out of steam maybe midway through week 2 or early week 3, and the wheels would have just fallen out from under us.
Yeah.
We announced early on that players would be picked to the team, both based on...
Someone in chat says, I know people who already have 70,000 dittos for next war. Dude, at a certain point, something's got to be done about that. Like, I don't want Shiny Wars to just be how many dittos can you store on alt accounts. It's getting a little crazy. I don't know, like, what to do, but it's a hard thing to balance, man. If you give... People will always try to break things if it's possible, you know?
How much they could grind and their prep. Basically using prep as a tiebreaker. As basically everyone we scouted was a potentially war-winning player, and we didn't have enough team slots for all of them. We also came up with a target amount of dittos, which was, as you can see here, about 23,400.
That's crazy.
You might be wondering why such a specific number. And
oh, is that the... I'm so dumb. That's the shiny... Isn't that one shiny... That's why the number is so specific. I should have answered this. I should have tried to come to this answer myself. It's because this is the shiny rate post donator status and shiny charm, right?
This is the amount of dittos you would use
on
hatching
average.
12 hours a day for either 30 or 31 days. I don't quite remember.
Just kidding, I'm wrong.
This also factored in a technique known as pre-cooking.
I think I'm thinking of 24,300.
Which is a...
Pre-cooking. Dude, I love all Shiny War prep. I can't bring myself to do pre-cooking. Pre-cooking is so sweaty. Even I don't enjoy it / like doing it. He's going to explain it, I think, in a quick sec. I haven't seen this video before. Pre-cooking, if you don't know, eggs in PokeMMO take about 5 minutes to hatch or so, and they hatch on ticks. So let's say for example, it's 5 ticks to hatch an egg, and each tick is 1 minute, right? You can get 4 ticks registered on the egg and then put it back in the PC. And then once war comes around, you bring it out and then hatch it within 1 minute on the 5th tick. So you can pre-cook like 4 minutes of the 5 minutes of the hatch time of however many eggs you can fit in your PC, which ends up being, what's the math? It's something like 20-ish boxes times 60 or whatever.
A no longer possible war strategy that we took full advantage of. I'll get back to pre-cooking in a little bit. And you may have noticed that this prep was all calculated before the incubators were added to the game, and thus we calculated way too few dittos to actually supply us for the whole war.
That's so interesting. So all their number, yeah, I forgot they added permanent. It was a big outrage. They added permanent incubators on the day. Yep. Pre-cooking was gone with incubators. Yo, wait, did they waste all of that pre-cooking time then? That's pretty insane. That's actually crazy. Wow. That means they wasted, oh my, I don't even want to think about the math on that. It's like they were still pre-cooked, thankfully. Okay, that's crazy. Yeah, so sweaty you even edge egg Pokemons. I can't even. That's fair. Can someone link Salem in YouTube chat my event season prep guide while I'm watching? Thank you so much.
But our prep gave us a buffer that allowed us to slowly and calmly watch the market and react accordingly, which you'll actually see pretty soon here, rather than panicking and buying everything we can because suddenly our demand doubled overnight. For a while, things were calm. Many players just quietly grinded their solo adventures for the year, stocking up Dittos, Leppas, Pokeyen, anything else they might need. A couple players were probably clear candidates by this point, but we could only be confident on a few members. And we, the leaders, planned for what we would do and exactly how we would tackle things when the war was announced. And
I want to know if they had like, I assume they did, but I want to know if they had like backup members. Because like, dude, life happens, things happen. Maybe someone loses their job and they can't do war anymore, or you know, something in life happens where all of a sudden someone can't put in the hours they expected to. When it's a year prep time, that's one of the nightmare situations, is someone dropping out because they just, not their fault that someone got in the way. It's more responsible to drop out if you can't put in the hours than to try to play when you know you can't do the hours.
We had dates to work with. And then finally, in late June, the announcement came. We immediately contacted everyone in the Discord to set up a one-on-one interview with them. I'll expand on that in a minute. But my first priority was actually creating the spreadsheet. I had spent the entire year theorizing how a strategy spreadsheet might work. What if there's a player-specific dupes clause? What if there's a
whole year figuring out the algorithm and calcs for a spreadsheet?
Shared across the team dupes clause.
Quick note, the 23 Dittos amount was actually the amount you would go through in 30 days of 12 hours of hatching per day, including the pre-cooked. I didn't even realize it factored out to exactly 1 shiny. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's so funny, Danny. Okay.
What I hadn't considered is them doing both, which was actually awesome. It had an individual player dupes clause, reducing a duplicate shiny from the same player down to 1 point, and a team-wide dupes clause in the form of species.
Yeah, 55 or so players. They set up interviews. They had interviews. Fucking job interviews for Shiny Wars, dude. Like, this is so sick.
Bonus, effectively making it -5 points if the team already owned a species and caught another one. So I'm pulling up these.
Yeah, fuck. Imagine listing like 3 references. I mean, unironically, job experience for shiny hunting, like
spreadsheet here.
Holy shit!
Here we go.
You have to make a fucking cover sheet, a cover page for each team you apply to. Ugh.
So this is the Field Team 7 War Strategy spreadsheet. I've hidden a few columns. You'll see in some of the other tabs, because I had prepared things that later became irrelevant when the incubators got released. Those things that I hid will be covered in the standalone spreadsheet video, so I'm not trying to withhold information. I think they're really cool, but they did not help us win the war because the systems they were based on were completely reworked. So you'll have to wait for some of those extra things that we prepped but did not end up using. This first tab is actually called Strat Decks. This had every single spot in the spreadsheet. what Pokemon can be found there, and anything dangerous about that
Every
horde.
single Pokemon. Every danger about the horde is really cool.
That we could find. Clue and I managed to make this tab in just about one day, and I'm really proud of how it came out.
One day?
This allowed us to quickly and efficiently
That's almost more impressive than winning the war. No, I'm just kidding, but that's crazy. This is a really valuable spreadsheet.
direct players where to go while not risking too many shiny fails. And then next we have the shiny log. This tracks and keeps score of all the shinies we find.
My brain can't do this. I love those. I love that people can look at this and function. I can't even comprehend this.
And with this tab, the spreadsheet knows whether each player has caught a certain species, as well if the team already owns it or not. Those data points are very useful in this tab, which is...
Oh my god.
Sorry, I lost my point in my script. Just a little peek behind the curtain there. Which is what our players saw for the whole event. One huge principle that we tried to uphold was to keep war simple for the players. They're not stupid by any means, and many of them ended up helping with other...
I wonder if he'll mention this. I'm so glad he mentioned that. It is so important to make it as easy as possible. Once war starts, it is so crucial to make playing the war for your players as easy as possible, because they're going, not because they're dumb and because they're sleep deprived. That is, I wonder if I'll mention that, because people are putting in ridiculous hours. People are physically and mentally at their limit. They cannot be thinking about, like, what shiny should I be hunting? What, you need that organized as much as possible. It's so crucial.
Other strategies, but reducing the mental workload on them meant they could hunt for longer with less stress points.
Yes.
And it wouldn't be too hard to understand where they should go and when.
Yes, it sounds crazy, but like when you're 30 hours deep into a hunt, like you don't have the energy, you don't have the mental capacity to like calc anything. You can't even do like fucking 20 times 10 or like you can't. You just need to click your buttons.
The full spreadsheet per player actually looks like this. In this tab, I have every single spot we could reasonably think of hunting at, including some we had to add during the war, as I'll talk about that in a second here. It has the route name, what Pokemon spawn there, the encounters per hour of the method, not actually the
That's cool.
Pokemon itself, and then the encounter rate is all manually entered. So we used 1200 for 5 hordes, 750 for 3 hordes, and then it was like 675 for a 5 horde with an animation like Weather or Intimidate, and 1050 or so.
They fucking count the added time for hordes with animations?
For 5 hordes with Weather, Intimidate, whatever. We also included the encounter rate of the Pokemon, which I just covered. And I had to gather that by just paying people 100 Leppas per hour to go horde at a spot, and then hoping 1 hour worth of data was...
Am I actually cutting out? Did anybody confirm or deny?
At least close to enough to get an accurate read. We had limited time and I had limited money, so we couldn't really do much more than 1 hour per spot. The rest of the spreadsheet calculates out automatically the points per hour of the spot. And then over here, so
this is from Danny, the one who made this video, is in Twitch chat, by the way, as I'm watching this. I frame counted intimate/weather. Are you fucking serious? You counted the frames so you could accurately add the exact amount of time. That's wow. I love grinding. I love grinding. I don't love the like super sweaty elements like that, but I love that people are willing. I'm not willing to do it. I love that people are willing to do it. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'll never be that sweaty. I like to be a big grinder and be pretty sweaty. I like playing games at not even all that, but sometimes I like getting up to like 90 to 95% efficiency. That feels like really fun and really exciting. I can't do the 99 to the 100% efficiency players. God, my heart goes out to you. I respect it. Not for me,
S and T here. They actually recombine the lines from columns E through O, and it will put the points per hour of that spot because they are separated.
Calculating the points per hour of each spot is incredibly difficult.
Separated by Pokemon here. While there are 2 lines for Twist Mountain, 3 for Route 15, 3 for Route 18. And then finally, columns A and B would take the information in column S and
I've just got on Conqueror's Blade, by the way. Huge.
sort it
Spotted.
by
I hope that I play a Steam game in this. That would be really
highest points per hour. And then the columns A and B were the only two columns actually shown to the players, as we saw here, just to keep things simple. And on the very top right, it would.
Did you have to limit hours per day? Shunting heard of issues playing more than a certain amount of hours per day? No. And you could do any amount of, as much as you could play. It's just as much as you could play.
Have the player's name in it, and this is actually what determined if the individual player had like dupes and stuff like that. So if I go to Apocalyptic Sheet and I change his name to,
or at least not that I know of, maybe he'll get to that in the video.
Say FA, boom. It will take a second, and then it will change into FA Sheet. It'll be a perfect match if I hide all this here. They will be the exact same. While if I change it back to APOC, it will go back to his. I have so much more to say about this.
Yeah, just keep things simple as he like drag and drops like 50 different spreadsheets.
I really like it. But I will save it for the more rambly standalone spreadsheet video.
I appreciate. This is too much for me. I can't even. It's too rich for my blood. I can't handle the spreadsheet stuff. All right, back to the points. Hell yeah.
So,
I love
the spreadsheet. I forgot this tab or this slide
so
even
wholesome.
existed. So, back out of my spreadsheet fantasy land and into the real world. Why did we interview all of the players before war?
Spreadsheets are. I'm just gonna glaze Danny for spreadsheet fantasy land. It's so wholesome how much this guy loves spreadsheets, man. And I'm so happy. Like that's the. I hate spreadsheets. I'm so happy people. I always say I hate math. I'm so glad people love math and can like correct my math and check my math and like figure out how rare something is. I don't want to do it, but I want to know the answer.
Or. Our number one reason was to simply find out if they were available. Some people might be the best grinders of all time, but they might have a family vacation scheduled in the middle of war or some huge project they need to work on or something that would distract from the event. The other thing it allowed us...
Unironic, no, not that I'm like one of the best grinders. Oh shit! Not that I'm one of the best grinders or best players ever, but I think I'm a pretty good grinder. I've put in my best hours during fantasy HP and old school RuneScape. I played 140 hours of RuneScape in a week, and that's not sustainable for a month. That was only a 1 week, and then I had a break week. But I would average 120 hours in fantasy. So I think of myself as one of a pretty darn good grinder of video games in the world. But I can't commit myself to Shiny Wars because of YouTube, because of content creation. It just takes too much. I'd have to stop. As silly as it sounds, it should be an advantage to be able to like do content creation and stream the thing, whatever. It's too exhausting talking to chat and stuff like that. It's just when I used to stream RuneScape, when I did fantasy HP in RuneScape, I literally like. I thought that I was I remember I thought that I was gonna stream the whole fantasy HP, and I realized very, very quickly I couldn't do it. It was 189 hours in a week. There's actually 168 hours in a week, I believe, or 162 maybe. But I know that number. I will never forget that number because of fantasy HP. Because I'll never forget. There's 168 hours in a week because of how many fucking hours I played of RuneScape. In a week. No, you're not dumb. It's just a number that no one should know off the top of their head. Except for psychos like me. I can grind, but doing it with content creation and entertaining a job, it's really hard. And not to most for my Danny can correct for most of my understanding. Most of SEAL Team 7 was employed. It is employed. They're not all. A lot of people write off Shiny Wars like, oh, unemployed Lamau, blah blah blah, like unemployed wars. Which there's some good jokes there. I get it, but most of these guys aren't unemployed, and obviously being unemployed is an advantage. I agree with you, but it's also like it's in my opinion, it's kind of like saying, oh, LeBron James can only be LeBron James because he's unemployed. All he does is play basketball all day. Like, of course, like, it's what it takes to be the best in anything. You have to dedicate all of your time to it. There are things that make it easier, don't get me wrong, but it's also life's decisions and things like that. I think it's silly to deduce someone's excellence to, oh, they're calling LeBron unemployed and that's why he's good at basketball would be like fucking hilarious, right? But that's, it's just that's what people do in. For some reason, it's okay to do that in video games, but not okay when someone's making $1 billion. Like, is the money, is that your bar of success? Because to me, money does not equal success. It can, to some degree, but I think reaching personal fulfillment is more important.
Us to do was set rigid expectations for the players. We stressed hard that we had a spreadsheet that would outline our strategy.
Sorry, let me pause for a second. Danny said in chat, a lot of people were employed. We had a couple teachers who were off during the summer, or college students who were also off for the summer. That's a really important thing to mention.
And if they wanted to be on the team, they were expected to follow it. If they thought something might be wrong, the points per hour seems weird, whatever, they were free to bring it up to leadership and we would reanalyze, but we didn't want people just going rogue and hunting whatever they personally thought might be good. The other point we tried to get across is that war is very stressful. It might sound silly, but it is true. It's stressful as can be, and we wanted to make sure that we stopped any drama from forming before it even had the chance to form.
That's another underrated factor. But yeah, dude, that's so important. Making sure all of your teammates get along to some degree is huge. When humans already, fight, and not everybody's gonna like everybody. That's totally normal, totally okay. I always, not everybody's my style. I just do a certain style of content. Not everybody's gonna like me. Totally based respect. It'd be weirder if everybody liked me. That to me, I always say is like maybe I'm not being my genuine self or my true self. If I'm trying to be liked, that's a little sketchy, right? However, what's it called? Humans already fight, okay? Could you imagine the more time you spend with someone, you also your chances of fighting increase? Could you imagine the more time, so spending 168, not really, but like, let's say 100 hours a week with the same people, on top of that, being sleep deprived. People already fight, let alone spending hundreds of hours together, as well as being sleep deprived. People start bickering and fight. It happens almost every shiny war for sure.
We told members that drama incidents would be taken very seriously, and I think this expectation setting at the start was very impactful in our team's mentality going forward. There was a very team first, individual second attitude from most members throughout the war, and I think that these expectations we set at the very start may have had an impact in forming that mentality early on. We asked the players how many hours they think they would play a day, how much prep they had, any other commitments they had during war, like work, weekly meetings, significant others, vacations, whatever. We asked if they had max box space for pre-cooking eggs, and we finally asked if they had any closing remark as to why they were a good fit for the team. Once Matt and I had planned out what to ask, we split up, contacted everything we could, and
Lamau, no girlfriends allowed.
Our list started in the 50s, maybe 55 or...
I think there's many... I think Kuroshi's in... There's many people that I know of that are in relationships who did this.
60 players maximum, but as we...
Just do what I did and get your fucking wife into... Or your partner, whatever, get into PokeMMO, Giga Chad. That's the strat. I just did Shining Wars with my wife. That's the
interviewed
high
players.
IQ strat.
Other names would pop up, and we ended up interviewing over 100 players for...
Get your partner to farm Dittos for you, Giga Chad.
Field Team 7 in just 4 days. Most of which took place on days 1 and 2, as only a couple people actually had to delay those extra couple days. And this is a level of social drain I don't know if I will ever feel again. Meeting dozens of people and immediately harshly judging them is not how I normally operate. And for days, I just locked myself in my room afterwards and just worked on my spreadsheet while my social battery recharged. I was talking to so few people.
Based. It's tough, man.
Finally, 4 days after the announcement of War 2025, we announced our 2 Shiny Wars teams. This was an idea concocted by Ginger Matt and heavily supported by Nuz. Honestly, I was very doubtful that there would be people who would want to play on a B team for top 3, but I would later learn this was no B team. The people who ended up on the second team were not random nobodies. They were good players who just had 1 or 2 factors about them that made us not confident in them as picks for Sfeel.
It's honestly really impressive how many players PokeMMO has, how many people we have that can dedicate this much to the game and to Shiny Wars.
Players
that we have, that the B teams are that strong.
Great,
that's really impressive.
No one we really trusted knew them well, so we couldn't tell if they were just talking the talk. There was different reasons all over the place for why someone was or wasn't picked for Sfeel. Our placeholder names for these two teams were Team Sun, which later became Sfeel, and Team Moon, who chose not to rename and truly impressed us with their performance. I guess if you aren't familiar with where Team Moon ended up, I won't spoil it yet, but seriously, to all the Moon members, you guys did incredible. I can imagine Sfeel Team 8 will see a lot of you guys on it if you're willing to do it all again.
Sfeel Team 8.
And then there was the most chaotic pre-event day by far, the reschedule. This
was one of the saddest. I think this was the worst update timing in PokeMMO history. This was really, really sad.
Was a complete management fiasco from the dev team.
I love the PokeMMO devs. They're not bad devs by any means. They just made a mistake, and this was nothing but this update was the biggest mistake I've seen, I think, from them.
Had already picked our rosters, and now certain people could no longer play with this reschedule. Some people had taken time off work within the first 2 weeks of war and couldn't get that time moved back for the reschedule.
For those who don't know, they basically were going to delay Shiny War by 2 weeks. And people had spent years prepping, like scheduling holidays, scheduling vacations, scheduling work time to take off work, and it just fucked all of that for a sec.
And people were extremely on edge. We had team leaders at each other's throats. We had members of the team ready to leave it all behind and just quit the game, up and leave there. And finally, after about 7 or 8 hours of utter chaos, Q posted that the event would go back to the original dates. The update that they wanted to push would be delayed, and there would be a small quality of life pre-war update that would make everyone happy. Yippee! Surely this quality of life update will not cause us any issues in the future, right?
Foreshadowing is a narrative device in which suggestions or warnings about events to come are dropped or planted.
About a week before war, we were finishing up our last little bits of prep that we needed. First, we cooked all our eggs. And to explain cooking a little bit, the way eggs work in PokeMMO is when you have donator status and flame body.
I already said this, Danny. Come on.
They have 4 checkpoints that need to be met in order to hatch. Every minute, the server has what's known as an egg tick, once per minute. And 1 checkpoint is added to all of your currently hatching eggs. For a long while, people knew about partial cooking, which is what I'll be calling it here, where you would intentionally have your eggs pass 3 of those checkpoints, so hold them in your party for 3 minutes, and then you would put them back in your PC, and when you took them out next, they would only take 1 more tick to hatch. This yielded about 300 eggs hatched per hour. Shortly after the Halloween update, however, I found that you can actually prevent the eggs from hatching by talking to a PC or NPC. Tick your eggs a 4th
I didn't know this. Learning the forbidden technique.
time, then put them back. Before Halloween, this would not benefit you at all, as eggs would only ever hatch on the egg tick. You would have just wasted an extra second of cooking. But in the Halloween update, they added a check at the end of the battle to see if your eggs were ready to hatch or not, and it would hatch them if they were. This meant that you could cook all your eggs 4 ticks, and instead of hatching on the tick, you could grab 5 eggs, go into a battle, they'd hatch, you'd go switch them out, get 5 more, and repeat. Done correctly, this yielded 1,200 eggs hatched per hour, as you could regularly...
What the fuck? From 300 to, what was it, 1,200 eggs per hour?
...get 1,200...
I've never heard of this. I didn't know this was ever a possibility for... That's insane.
...eggs hatched per hour.
Hatching 1,200 eggs an hour during war?
As you could regularly get 4 groups of 5 eggs hatched per minute. This was shaping up to be a huge advantage for us, if it wasn't for incubation.
This is like the secret hidden tech stuff you never hear about. Like, this is the stuff that, like, people take to their grave, and he's revealing it because it got patched, it seems like. Only for the first pre-cooked eggs. Yeah, you couldn't do it for all 23,000 of your eggs to make, for those who don't know as well, the 23,000 ditto number, you're storing those as dittos. You can only store, it's like 20 boxes in your PC. You can only store maximum of like 20 times 60, I think. You can only store 1,200 eggs. That makes sense. You can only cook 1,200 eggs that in like 1 hour though. That's it's still crazy, but yeah, wow.
Incubators, changing the entire system with no warning. We still benefited
Danny says you could have up to 1,860 total pre-cooked eggs. Thank you. I was just guesstimating. Thank you.
From the old school 300 egg per hour hatching, which was actually more because we were hatching 8 at a time, and for like an hour we were hatching 15 at a time. But my beloved strategy that I kept secret for over 7 months, I kept it to myself
Wow.
because I knew I wanted to use it for Shiny War. And then on the exact day I wanted to use it, it was gone.
Holy shit.
I also put out a guide on how to use the spreadsheet
I'm friends with Danny, and I've never heard about this. This is crazy.
for the players, you know, explaining go to your tab, look at the spots that are best, all of that. And I also made a guide for the players on a forbidden technique that you've probably seen part of already, but we will get into that in just a little.
Oh, the foot pedal. Didn't we the foot pedal stuff? Foot pedal.
Because before that, we were a little worried. The event started at 8 p.m. on July 10th, or at least it would. And on July 9th, that little quality of life update that they had teased had not come out yet. We figured that maybe they had just decided against doing an update right before war to avoid issues. And we made a forum post asking for some transparency, and we were obviously ignored, as usual with these developers. As the sun rose on July 10th, we assumed that the update must have been delayed, and we started hunting with the goal of holding a shiny on.
Oh my goodness. I don't think I've heard about this either, or maybe I just forgot. So, okay, basically, the devs talked about there being an update, and then the update didn't happen. So what you can do, you can pre-get a shiny before Shiny War begins, essentially, and get a shiny encounter, but then just not catch it until the event starts, right? So they started doing that, but then an update did happen. So they either lost the shiny or like had to catch a shiny right before war and it didn't count.
On screen until the event starts.
Wow.
This is one of my favorite.
We're 20 minutes into this video. There's already been so much insane secret information and like drama. This is insane.
Favorite little parts of war. I really wish we could do it in Mr. Wars. There's reasons we can't. You know, we've talked about it, but it's one of the things that I hold dear. One of my favorite stories.
There's an argument for splitting Shiny War into two categories, one for egg hatch, one for catching. I almost feel there's an argument for like and I love edge shiny hunting, so it's tough. I almost feel like there is an argument for like disallowing edge shinies to count, which is really sad. But I almost feel like there is an argument for that because prep will eventually get so insane where it is prep wars versus like almost anything else. But it depends on. I would leave that decision up to the best shiny hunters and let them decide what's best for their war, for their game.
From Shiny War 2024 was when Shiny Carp found a Cottony and held it on her screen for like 5 or 6 hours straight just to get us off to the.
Do you know how annoying that is to like constantly move your character, like just do something on screen every like 15 minutes or so? I think you have to do it for 5 or 6 hours.
That 6-point lead. And this year, our teammate Chicken Pasta found a Venipede, and hours later, he was messaged by Enzo, one of the heads of Shiny War, warning Chicken that holding a shiny could be dangerous, as no one knew when the update might drop.
Oh, jeez.
He did end up catching that Venipede, by the way, right before the servers went offline, but we did not get to use it for points. Luckily, I guess, the update finally came out. With 30 minutes to go before Shiny War started, the servers went offline and would not come online in an actually
I'm already looking at these two bottom texts. What the fuck in Opus?
Playable state for the next 4 or 5 hours. We
chum buckets, incubators, and bugs. Oh my!
Sat and contemplated what might be coming. We looked through the strings. We looked through everything, trying to make sense of the horrible post. And finally, when the update post came out, people were confused and appalled by just how bad of an update it actually was. Out of context, getting the encounter counter and chum buckets, and the egging system being reworked in a nicer way, it felt like it was just a happy little update that made life nicer for us. But in context, this was a bug-riddled disaster that more than tripled the efficiency you could hatch eggs at. Changed our prep from nobody needs to buy another
300%. I've been saying it forever.
For the entire war to okay, we might be fine for the first week and a half. These incubators didn't even work for half the team. Some players couldn't get into the game at all. And on top of that, one of our members, Gamer2020, would receive a permanent ban from the game for third-party tools just minutes into the servers properly coming online.
I did not. Wow. I didn't know it was minutes into the war. I thought it was like within the first 2 weeks or so, like the first half of the war. I did not realize it was minutes into the war.
This was probably the second hardest time to be a team leader. I'll get into the hardest one later in the video. But it felt like everything could just
Could you imagine preparing something for a full year, and then one of your 30 players, where an event that is incredibly tightly closed, where every player matters, gets immediately banned in the first 30 minutes? That's so, and like obviously it seems like from what I've heard he deserved the ban. Like it's not, but that's from the team's perspective, that's just what a horrible situation.
just unravel out from under us, and shit could just hit the fan at any moment. I want to use this day as a way to explain our planned leadership style, as it really became solidified.
Inviting cheaters 5-head, you just can never know. It sucks. You never know when someone's gonna cheat, even your best friends or teammates. Like it sucks, and I think cheaters deserve to get banned or temporary ban or whatever. That's it's just hard. It sucks, but that's the reality of life, really. With anything, they couldn't have known. I think if Phil Team 7 knew that he was cheating or was gonna cheat, they wouldn't have invited him.
Day one, as we were dealing with all the chaos being thrown our way with this update and the ban.
Important information: 3 of the top 4 teams had at least 1 player banned for botting. ETG had 2 and QH had 2. I hear nobody talk about that. I only hear people rant about Field Team 7. That's interesting. I didn't even know that. That's interesting. I don't like that a lot of people just a lot of people, there's a lot of jealousy and stuff when Field Team 7 won Shiny Wars. I mean, the same way there was a lot of, I think, jealousy last year when was it ETG that won the first Shiny Wars. Like there's just jealousy. It's tough when people put a lot of emotion into things. There's always going to be a little bit of envy. That's it's human, but it sucks to deal with.
So the Gamer 2020 ban helped us figure out exactly how we should handle these big crisis moments, which we really didn't have that many more of. But our first plan was to simply wait and see how the team reacted. We didn't want to.
Yeah, believe it or not, competition results in envy. You're always going to have. It's why competitive athletes still, baseball players use the sticky substance or steroids infamously, right? Like it's really hard to be the best when you're trying to be every little micro advantage. People cheat, what happens. I think it's just easy for cheaters to seem innocent in the eyes of the other community members, as we don't really have a way of telling a hard grinder apart from a botter unless we really put a magnifying glass to somebody. It's just hard to tell. The same way, like this stuff literally happens in professional sports. It's funny that people will judge video game players harsher than it happens in all parts and all top parts and top percentages of any athletic, whether it's esport or real sport event.
Act like the sky was falling if the team didn't feel that way. And feelings were mixed initially. Some people were nervous, some people were upset, some people felt like it must have been wrongdoing. We didn't know how to feel. We didn't know if it was a legitimate ban or not.
And everybody feels different ways. When the problem is everybody's a different type of person, and there's different moments at different times. You could catch me certain days, this could happen and I would feel demotivated and feel like we're losing war, right? Certain days this could happen and I could feel super motivated and go even harder. I can speak from experience. There was a time where there was a 2-player fantasy EHP in RuneScape, and I remember I overslept. I missed my 6-hour log, and I think I slept I was 6 to 12 hours late to this fantasy HP event, and it was only 2 people, so it was me and one other person, and I let that person down so much and I felt so bad. My ass got kicked so much into gear. I still finished the week, I believe, with more hours than him, and I finished with a 110 EHP week, which is efficient hours played. So I missed the first part of the event, and I was so angry at myself for doing that it kicked me into high gear. So sometimes that happens, but sometimes it's a frustrating. It really just depends. It really just depends.
Later on, we learned that it was a legitimate ban, but we couldn't know that at the time. It was all just.
Yeah, Danny says us getting lucky day one in terms of shinies kind of put people into the we got this mentality. If we had a bad day one, I can only imagine how the shiny award just goes so differently. Yes, that's so real.
Blindsided us, and then. In our pre-cooked eggs, we managed to hatch 3 egg shinies, which was a roughly 26% chance considering the amount of eggs we had cooked, and was pretty lucky. This lifted spirits so much, and we ended up rallying together under the idea of how cool it would be to win as 29 players. Around a week into the event, though, we started noticing some players either not paying great attention to the spreadsheet, maybe going to the wrong spot, or not really putting in the hours that we expected from them.
That's tough. People don't realize once again, there's also two different types of players or different types of players at different times. Some people underestimate their hours and some people overestimate. It depends on the type of person they are and the hour of the month you catch them on. You know, doesn't mean someone overestimating themselves once does not indicative of their entire character as a person, right? I can once again speak from experience where my first ever RuneScape fantasy EHP draft, I told scouts that I was going to do 70 hours in a week because my math was, yeah, I can probably do 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, I can do 70 hours. And a lot of people didn't draft me off of that information. And I ended up getting drafted in my first ever RuneScape fantasy EHP draft. I was drafted in the 6th round, okay, which is like one of the final, it's like there was like 8 rounds or some shit. One of the final rounds. I was a 6th round pick that put up a 140 or 122 EHP week, a 144 hours played week. I put up multiple 120s in a 110, and like it was crazy. People saw my name being the 2nd ranked person in the whole league, and they were like, who the fuck is this guy? I don't even know who this is. That's really, really rare in the RuneScape community to be like, what the fuck is how is he performing with the best? People thought I was botting, people thought I was cheating, but I didn't know what I was capable of. Sometimes you just don't know. I underestimated. I thought I was gonna do 70 hours, and I ended up doing either 100 or 110 in the first week, and the second or third I did the 122 or whatever, which was 144 hours played, but 122 EHP. You never know until you know. So it's one of those situations where like everybody thinks they can run into the burning building, and not that shiny hunting or playing RuneScape is running quite as severe as running into a burning building, but everybody thinks they can. Not everybody, but like you don't know until you do it. You don't know until you really put yourself in that situation and see what you're capable of. You know.
We handled these issues calmly, as we didn't want to alienate players who just weren't fully locked in yet. At one point, Nuz, one of the leaders of the team, didn't pay close enough attention to the spreadsheet and caught a shiny Vulpix when we already had one. And to avoid anyone overreacting to this and to make a little bit of a joke out of it, Matt had the idea of making Nuz be the one who had to hunt Tentacruel for our team, and started our idea of...
That's so... you hear the thought process, like, oh, we didn't want the players to work. Like, this... Dude, Danny's underselling it. This is a fucking leader mentality. Like, Danny is such a good... Danny is a calm, collected spreadsheet king. I can't imagine anybody else being on Field Team 7 and being this, like, this is so funny. Jail time hunts were such a good idea for Matt. That is so funny. If you make a mistake, you go to the Tentacruel shunt, you go to the jail time hunt. That's such a good, to like be funny about it. And like, I'm sure the player's already mad at themselves if they make that mistake, you know, but I think that's like a funny enough punishment that doesn't like, it raising the morale of the team with mistakes is genius.
Of giving the least desired hunts to people as punishments to keep them grinding while also keeping everyone focused. One of our members ended up playing a PvP game on stream after getting raided by Spidget, who is a more PvP focused streamer, if you don't know him, and was immediately sentenced to hunt the wretched Firo, which...
That's so good. Oh my god, dude. I would have been that guy. I always try to play a random when Spidget raids me. That's so fucking funny.
She found a shiny in 80 encounters. So look, the jail time, it's a good idea. It doesn't always work as a punishment. Sometimes they get a Firo and no time at all. And then this is probably my favorite story that came from Shiny War 2025. It shows that sometimes you really do need to think creatively to antagonize other members of other teams while not making yourself out to be the bad guy. A Mr. teammate of ours named Woe.
Connections to the Chinese Ditto Syndicate. Yes, this is a real thing. Well, I need that gif that Zenarchy made of like the guy smoking a blunt and he's like, sometimes this PokeMMO shit get too serious. Dude, that is what
Shiren had connections to the Chinese Ditto Syndicate, which is a real thing, and they are insanely organized and efficient. We heard that QH, our main competition at the time, was buying their Dittos almost 60,000 yen per box cheaper than what we were buying them at in the West. We also had heard that they were not having a very good day that day. They had scored low points, and even worse, 2 of their members were banned from the game for third-party tools. They went to bed that night as we were waking up, and we had a plan. We gathered members from Team Moon and Sfeel and coordinated to buy hundreds of boxes of Dittos from the Syndicate overnight, immediately ballooning their Ditto prices from 310k per box up to 380k. When QH woke up the next morning, they weren't just missing 2 players. They weren't just low on points.
I gotta pause the. Sorry, this meme was just sent to me. This was meant to represent the guy who got the duplicate shiny Vulpix. This LMAO, I forgot about this. This is him in Tentacruel jail. Sorry, that got sent to me. I had to show that.
But Ditto prices had increased drastically. Their leader, Oppo, reached out to a Team Moon member saying, "I'd like to discuss the issue regarding the price of the Ditto. Our plan had worked."
I'd like to discuss the issue regarding the price of the Ditto. But I kind of missed. Wait, we heard that update before. They bought some Dittos from the market. It was from. Oh, this is yes. The Ditto box price rose during Shiny War. Yeah. From 310k to 380, which is an insane price difference overnight. That sold to 350k. By the end of War, helped us buy over 250k boxes, over 4,000 boxes worth in just 25
flawlessly.
days.
And we continued to buy from the syndicate until late into the war.
Wow, I remember this. I remember like the West literally didn't have enough. This is why I always say the PokeMMO Chinese player base, for those who don't know, is huge, and it's why it's bigger than the U.S. in English speaking, in my opinion. I don't know, we don't know for sure, but in my opinion, it's why getting over the language barrier. I try to use Google Translate whenever I can. Getting over the language barrier is crucial if you want to be one of the best PokeMMO players, and it's really funny, but it's true. They had to, the Western world didn't have enough Dittos to fund Shiny War. It sounds like I'm talking about a real war. Like the West didn't have enough like metal, didn't have enough like ammunition. Like this sounds like some real world fucking World War shit. It's actually crazy, but it's true. The West didn't have enough Dittos. We had to import Ditto. We had to like learn Mandarin to fucking get enough Ditto supply. I'm saying we, not me, it's Field Team 7, let me qualify. It's so crazy. It's such an interesting, when people say Shiny War is easy and Shiny Hunting's easy and all these fucking things, I dare you to watch this video and get back to me and tell me what you think. There is so much more under the hood. If you've ever been one of the best at anything in life, I feel like you immediately develop a deep respect because you understand what it takes. You develop a deep respect of how hard it is to become the best at anything else. That's not always. Sometimes people have the error. I always say there's 2 types of people. There's the person who becomes one of the top 1.1% at something and develops a deep respect for everything else, or someone who becomes one of the best at something and then has the arrogance to think they are the best at like all these other things. You know, there's 2 different types of people in that regard.
When ETG pressured Chinese players to not sell to us anymore. By the end of the war, Wobu had smuggled.
Wait, ETG like pressure, like blackmailed, not blackmail, but like pressured the Chinese Ditto Syndicate to not sell to them?
Over these players to not sell to us anymore until late into the war, when ETG pressured Chinese players to not sell to us anymore.
Holy shit.
By the end of the war, Wobu had smuggled over 250,000 Dittos to Team Sphere and Team Moon. Over 4,000
smuggled 250k Dittos. Oh my god.
Boxes in just 25 days. Not even that, because of the syndicate not selling. Maybe 20 days. We thought that we would be playing War down a player, but Wobu filled Gamer 2020's spot and then some with the amount of help he provided us. And if we could give out our 30th pair of wings, he would be the only person in the game that truly deserves them.
Oh my goodness. Wobu wasn't even on the team? Wait, or wait, am I misunderstanding? Or did he like, someone in chat can clarify. Was he not on SEAL Team 7? No shot. He was just a Team Mr. member? Are you fucking kidding me? Wabu wasn't even on field. He was just doing this for the fucking homies. Bro smuggled 250k Dittos literally just for his friends to help. That's how do you? Oh my goodness! #1 friend of the year award goes to Wobu. What a fucking insane! Wow. Bro did it for the love of did it for the love of the game, the love of the homies, dude. Wow.
Jumping forward a little bit, we started getting word that different spots that we hadn't initially considered might be strong. You know, stuff like chum buckets, stuff like that. We ended up paying non-Sphere members to go fish with Chum for an hour and report their numbers. You know, what rates are you getting? How many encounters
You paid other players to test strats during the event to not waste the 1 hour time?
are you getting an hour? We tested new horde spots and then slowly revamped our strategy
They sent scouts for strategies!
in favor of consistency rather than riskier plays.
Holy
The
shit.
spreadsheet was an ever-evolving living document that I would be changing up until the last couple days of war. We ended up making a flowchart for the most optimal routes to fish at, as well as hyping the team up for the Sphere fishing trip to really get people excited. That would be coming a little while after we finished all the 100% 5 hordes in the game. Also, if you're looking at this flowchart, it was actually technically wrong. I believe if we hit Whalmer at Lily Cove, we were supposed to go to Route 114 with lure, not without, but whatever. I made this in like 10 minutes. And it worked. Finally, it's time to talk about the only thing some of you clicked on this video to see. What was foot pedaling? What is it now? And
one of the biggest dramas, there was a lot of false allegations. There was a good discussion to be had about it, but there was a lot of false allegations. There was a lot of drama. There was a lot of anger, I think envy and jealousy from the situation. Let's hear what Danny, I'll let Danny explain this.
How was it changed in the July 24th patch? This is probably the most misunderstood topic in all of Shiny War, and I'd like to set the
There was so much misinformation and so much anger.
record straight as to how foot pedals work, the difference between legal foot pedal binds that we used, and the illegal macro capabilities that they and most other PC and console peripherals offer. First, what foot pedaling was pre-nerf. I use the term nerf loosely here as foot pedaling wasn't made any worse during the update, they just made it slightly different. And the whole technique can be simplified down to overlaying the hotbar over the run button in battle so that you can just spam Sweet Scent and run without moving your mouse. And spamming left click. I would just use my mouse for this technique. I shared it with dozens of people who didn't really care at the time, and then just kind of held on to it as a neat trick I would do until War 2024, when I told some of my teammates about it, and instead of shoulder shrugging...
So this is important. This technique was first displayed in 2023, November 21st. 2 years before Shiny War 2025, and it was always an allowed method. A lot of people were upset and outraged because they felt like SEAL Team 7 had kept this thing secret, and like it's like a secret strat that they shouldn't have been able to use. It's cheating, blah, blah, blah. But this has been a strategy that people have been using in PokeMMO since 2023. In my opinion, I think the foot pedal stuff, unfortunately, there was a good discussion to have about it. Don't get me wrong. There is good discussion of should it be allowed, what's allowed, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think there's important discussion, but it shouldn't have happened the way it did during war, where people were just mad and accusatory of the main team, who the winning team, right? That where they were just doing a strategy that's been allowed for so long that to me it felt like jealousy. It just felt like jealousy. It felt like outrage. People were looking for things, looking for reasons to discredit their victory.
And saying, oh, cool, man, like many people before, they saw the potential and utility of this technique. And then Ginger Matt had the idea that instead of using a mouse or controller, you could just use a foot pedal bound to mouse 1, which would allow you to use your hands.
Watching a Brawlhalla video while shunting. Take a Chad game. Danny says, I remember when I was a noob in PokeMMO, which Danny's only been playing the game since 2023. That's crazy. I believe 2022 or 2023. And said, and I said it, he talked about the strategy in this chat, but I don't think people really understood or cared at the time. So I figured it wasn't that good. Yeah, Danny started playing in late 2023 for reference, and now he's one of the best players in the game less than 2 years later. Like a year later. Danny learned the game so fast.
To play other
Danny also streamed the strategy openly for a year at least.
games, work on your job, whatever you really wanted to do. Now, a lot of people managed to think that putting buttons on the floor instead of on your desk somehow meant that we were using macros and holding the pedal down to output multiple mouse.
This was because that would be really bad. If you could hold your pedal down, that would be a problem. That wasn't happening.
One presses, while we did.
It's for reference, having a foot pedal is the same. It's the same exact thing as if you just moved your keyboard on the ground and then set your space bar to Sweet Scent. It would be like the same thing.
Didn't have to do anything. If this was truly the case, what about that would have changed in the July 24th patch? The only thing that changed about the game was that the overlap technique would no longer work. Most of our members already had pedals with 3 buttons on it, meaning you could just bind one of them to mouse 1 and one of them to Sweet Scent and then go back to hunting as usual. No real change at all. But if someone was cheating and using a macro, this nerf also wouldn't affect them in any way, as they would just rebind their keys like how we rebound our keys. I even saw some people saying that you could use a box to hold down your pedal to keep a macro going, but like, why would you do that? Macros don't require a button to be held to function, so you just wouldn't do that. Holding a pedal and getting
It's like it's like people not understanding. If you're gonna run a bot, or like, you know, why would you put a bot? You're just running a bot or macro anyway. What are you doing?
multiple inputs would be using a macro in the same way that pushing a pedal, releasing it, and then getting a ton of inputs would also be a macro. It would be read to the game as a macro, and if you did this, like some people calling us out ended up doing, you would be permanently banned from the game, like some not so
The devs can see like what the inputs look like, the timing between them. Like...
modest people. As a quick disclaimer, I am going to show the similarities between foot pedals and other computer peripherals here, how almost all of them are capable of making macros, and why foot pedals are nothing special. I'm going to show you my personal foot pedal binds as well.
Also, for those who don't know, foot pedals were also, it's really funny actually. For some reason, people view foot pedals differently. Foot pedals were also a big drama in RuneScape. When I was saying, the same exact drama happened in RuneScape when people started foot pedaling certain things in RuneScape. It's just a valid input. It's also a really important input for people who are handicapped, who maybe don't have the accessibility of like their hands. Like foot pedals is just another input method, the same way a controller is a different input method. It just makes, yeah. People hate when you add 2 more limbs to the equation. I don't know. It's really interesting to me that there must be some intuitive thing that isn't logically checked, because it just makes no sense logically. But I I don't know.
Well,
It's interesting. The same thing
different
happened in RuneScape. The same exact drama. It was really funny watching this play out live because I had seen it all before.
Finding that the main foot pedal software that we use, Elfkey, is capable of, and which ones are and aren't against the rules. If you buy a foot pedal and use one of the settings I outline as illegal in this video, you will probably be permanently banned from the game. All your accounts, everything you have, will be gone. So please, do not use any of them except for the 2 legal settings that I outline if you're using them for PokeMMO, or you will be banned. Now, this is Elfkey. The 6 settings that you can bind
So he's showing some illegal things here. Is that correct?
a button to are multi-key, single, continuous.
Or is this what you can do? Let me clarify. Let me see what the meme is.
Now, this is Elfkey. The 6 settings that you can bind a button to are multi-key, single, continuous, retrigger, loop, and double trigger. Single and continuous are legal settings. Continuous functions exactly how a key does on your keyboard. If you press and hold it, the key registers as pressed when you push it down, and then released when you release it. Single is slightly less accurate to a keyboard, as when you push the button down, it is pressed then immediately released, and won't press down again until you push the button down again.
Right, so both these inputs are fine. I want to comment here because, once again, I have experience from RuneScape. The same exact thing happened in RuneScape. I don't know about Elf. Is that what this program is called? Is Elf, correct? I am familiar with AHK, or auto hotkeys. Very similar thing. It's actually laughable how exactly one-to-one the drama played out. AHK, people thought, so what happened in RuneScape was people were using AHK to make macros and have things be two. The biggest rule is you need 1 input to equal 1 action, right? That's the normal thing. People were binding things in RuneScape to where you could have 1 input, so you press like the 1 key, and then it like goes to your prayer tab and then also hits a prayer. That's illegal. You cannot have 1 keybind like do 2 different actions, or even like I think even like you can't. So the same thing was happening. So having things like that in AHK was illegal, but simply, I don't know, I haven't played RuneScape in 4 years, so it might have changed, so take this with a grain of salt. But at the time, many years ago, simply using AHK was not bannable. It was only bannable if you used AHK to bind 1 input to 2 outputs. That's the problem. And I'm assuming the same thing's happening here, where you're using a software to rebind your keys, but as long as you aren't doing 1 to 2, it's fine. That's my guess, and I haven't even seen this, I just have the RuneScape experience. But a lot of people in the RuneScape scene used to think that AHK was just not allowed at all, and from my understanding, that was not the case. It was a lot of misinformation from people who aren't. It's high level stuff, and it's a lot of people who aren't at that high level talking about it, and then it's like a game of telephone where things get misconstrued.
Retrigger, loop, double trigger, and multi-key are
Or just use joystick key to keep your pedal on forever. So that would be illegal. You would get banned. It's just that simple. Like if you do anything, it's just not even. It's like saying like, oh yeah, or you could just use a Patrouski. How is Shiny Wars even a thing? People could just bot the game. Like okay, you would get banned. I don't. What do you want me to say? Like it's like saying like it just makes no sense. Like yeah, it makes no sense.
Are all not allowed. They are all in one form or another TOS breakers. Retrigger allows you to get multiple key presses out of one button press. Loop.
So this is Monkey TOS.
Will allow the same.
Seems like so in the output you see single and continuous. Only these are allowed. Retrigger, loop, and double trigger not allowed.
But will allow you to repeat the presses as many times as you specify.
I don't know if people. It's literally just it's just really funny, Danny. I don't know.
Double trigger acts like one key as you press it down, and then a different key when you release it. And multi key is literally just a macro, plain and simple. I will now show an on-screen example of some of these settings in action using the game Trackmania as my showcase. Mostly because I don't have a different input display to use, and this dashboard plugin will show the buttons that I'm pressing.
Yeah, the 3-pedal foot controller does look dope. It's just a controller, yeah. Trackmania deflects on us. Trackmania, hilariously, I started playing Trackmania a little bit post Shiny War, and not that I played, but like so did Danny. This game is so fucking good, bro. Damn, no free feet cam. Okay, you guys gotta get your priorities straight. What? Did we show that was continuous?
You might be immediately alarmed at just how easy it is to make a macro with a foot pedal, having seen the software. But this is extremely standard for the PC peripheral industry. Macros are not a taboo thing in every circle of the internet like they are in PokeMMO. Games like World of Warcraft allow you to make macros in the game client itself.
This blew my mind. When I actually played Classic WoW for the first time, I was like, what the fuck? You can do macros in-game? I had never heard of that playing like RuneScape and other MMOs. I was really shocked. I think it's cool to have the different perspectives, and it's why people are coming with different understandings.
Well,
it's also why I do believe like some people in PokeMMO genuinely do get banned on accident, for lack of a better word. They should have checked the rules and seen if macros were allowed. But if you've played World of Warcraft your entire life and macros are allowed, and you switch to PokeMMO and use macros, I understand how that you could, I understand it's like you accidentally broke the rules kind of thing. You should have read them, but it makes total sense. It's not like that person was out for evil intent always.
Well, you can see here, Logitech gaming software on the left, allows easy use of macros, while Corsair IQ
yeah, Danny says, I tell this story a lot, but when I first got into PokeMMO, one of the first things I looked up was good macros for the game, because I came from CSGO, where macros are basically fully encouraged, not just legal. I got recommended a video saying they're illegal, and I was like, damn, almost, yeah, like just do a little bit of research, and yeah.
allows
totally
it
fair.
for Corsair devices, as shown on the right. Basically, any computer mouse or keyboard, sometimes even headphones, will have reprogrammable buttons in the same way foot pedals do. And binding those buttons to macros in PokeMMO is just as illegal and bannable on a foot pedal as it would be on any other device.
Yes. So, once again, to show, like, the problem is foot pedals aren't the problem. Macros and botting and cheating. Those are the bad things, right? Foot pedals are not the problem. Do we ban all, like, controllers? What's the logic with the foot pedal hate, right? So I always show this. I'm not going to press it, but I actually have a button on my mouse right here called a turbo fire button. Unfortunately, I kind of hate it. I wish it wasn't there, but I do use it for like cookie clicker and stuff like that. But like this, if I hit this button, it clicks twice with one click. That would be illegal and get me banned in PokeMMO if I used it. I simply don't use it. It's literally that simple. I think I've maybe even accidentally pressed it a time or two, and I've never gotten to, but if I were to like maliciously like use this all the time, that'd be really bad. Just literally, it's as simple as just don't break the rules. I know it sounds silly or dumb, but any device, foot pedals, mouse, anything could have an illegal method. Just don't do the illegal method. It's not the problem of the device, it's the problem of macros.
Finally, what foot pedaling is now. It's not like anyone's going to stop doing it. I showed off my binds that
someone said, it's a great question. Isn't Control A a bit similar? Control A is a like coded into the game hotkey. That's why it's not illegal. The same way like hitting Control and then left clicking Pokemon quick switches them like from your PC to your party. Like those are in-game hotkeys. Great question.
That I use for fishing and
for those who don't know what Control A looks like, I wonder if I can show it on my screen really quick. Like this is how I whenever I'm XP trading efficiently, I try to do this. Let me show you. I'm just gonna hold control plus my A key, which is Z, right? Watch this really quick. Watch how fast this goes. When I see that wasn't botting, that wasn't anything like that. It was just control Z, control A. Someone says control A shouldn't be in the game. It favors bots heavily. I don't know enough about. I could see that. I don't know. I kind of like it as an efficiency thing. I wish more players knew about it, but I think it's an interesting skill thing. It's honestly a tough call. I don't know for sure.
Hoarding a couple slides ago. F is my like A button in PokeMMO. What is?
That's true. I think it's just good for player hand health. Unironically, that's a great point. Like, yeah, that's 1000%.
Bound to Z by default. And then here I'm showing off my binds for singling. Now, in all three cases, you'd place your mouse over the run button in battle, and I wanted to explain that the main benefit of foot pedaling, as I said in my initial post to my team, isn't that you are actually playing efficiently or quickly, but rather that you can not focus very hard on the game.
Okay, foot pedal stuff is almost over.
While still grinding for hours a day, which lets players play for longer sessions with less burnout. I think a lot of bad actors in the community hijacked the foot pedal discussion to try to drown out any semblance of defense from our team, making us out to look like massive cheaters.
Yeah.
The worst part of this entire discussion is that only 8 or 9 of our members actually use these techniques with a foot pedal in the first place. Most people were satisfied doing it with a mouse, keyboard, or controller.
Yeah.
The whole concept boiled down to simplifying inputs, with the goal of hunting relatively efficiently without requiring long periods of focused gameplay. I hope this section answered most of the questions that you have about foot pedaling.
Which it is an advantage to have a more comfy style of gameplay, right? Via controller. The same exact way, I always say, people ask me, hey, Patrouski, do you use mouse and keyboard or do you use controller? Well, I use mouse and keyboard mostly, but I actually use controller whenever I'm doing a ×5 horde shunt with Leppas because it's so comfy. For me, it's literally just like a controller thing that you have to factor in. Yeah.
And if you have more, stick around
No, I appreciate you covering all this information and details, Danny.
To the end of the video for a little bit of an announcement. But before that, we had a couple more things we had to do as management to get our team over the finish line. Like the fact that we were damn near broke. 8 incubators.
I wonder if I'll get into it. I know many people who went into PokeMMO debt to win Shiny War.
Is so unbelievably overpowered in the long term. It's effectively double the efficiency compared to hatching while hoarding before the update, as not only were there more slots, but you also could hoard while using Flame Body now, which increased your expected eggs hatched per hour while hoarding from 60 to 120. We also needed fossil Pokemon. Everyone knew going into the war that fossils would be strong, but many of us had to use our money to get enough Dittos to finish out war, and we had people selling off hundreds of millions of yen in vanities, collector's items, and more, combined with the fact that we ended up taking on over 1 billion yen worth of debt from other players just to finish out war.
Over 1 billion Pokeyen in debt. Not just Pokeyen spent, 1 billion in debt to repay to be the to win war.
This combined,
and that's where I think there's a fair discussion to be had. I love shiny hunting. There's a fair discussion to be had of like I even like preparing, but at what point does the prep become too crazy? Yeah, 1 billion for the whole team. Yeah, sorry if I didn't make that clear. At what point is it prep war versus some prep and shiny hunting? You know, I think it's an interesting question, and I think there is an interesting discussion of like a shiny war with no egg shinies, but it's just it's a discussion that needs to be had for many hundreds of hours. I think anybody who's like, yes, they're for sure shiny wars for sure should not have eggs, like, slow down. I think there needs to be hundreds and thousands of hours of discussion. Maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. It just needs to be talked about. But you don't want to come into like, I'm split on that opinion. I don't know. I have to think about it and go over it a lot, mull over it a lot.
Combined with the scouting from the start of the video is why
someone said that debt is never being paid. Lol. Danny said most of us have already paid it back. I know a lot of people want to like meme, but like it, you know, it's at a certain point where we're spreading misinformation. Danny said most of us have already paid it back. We have a couple people whose deadline is after Halloween who will probably pay back once they earn money from the event. Thank you for clearing stuff up, Danny, who actually being someone involved in the scene.
Networking is so important in this game if you want to do big.
I think the PokeMMO, it's really funny. He's literally talking about networking right now, and someone like mentioned like not paying the debts, right? Yeah, someone said good for the Shiny War is very, very good for the economy. But someone else said W's feel for being good on their bets. The problem is if you aren't good on your bets, you're going to be excommunicated. Like the community is big enough yet small enough for people to know names, right? It's big enough for the healthy community and the things like that, or the healthy economy, but it's small enough to where people will know your names. If you don't pay your bets from last year's Shiny War, I don't think people will even let you on their team in the next war, at least like the top teams. I think it's really, really, really serious. Absolutely.
Things like win a war, start a successful team, win PvP tournaments, much more. Finding players who could trust us to pay off tens, if not hundreds of millions of yen worth of debt each would have been impossible if we were a closed-off community who never interacted with other players. Networking is so important. Finally, this is less of a strategy part and more of a cautionary tale if you want to get into leading a Shiny War team. We had a strong lead for most of the event, but with just about a week left, ETG hit 9 egg shinies and a Shelfa. It was a Shelfa Charmander within just 2 days, immediately jumping from border.
So their opposition team hit like some crazy shinies, and it made the Shiny War came down. If you watched my stream recaps and stuff, checking the points, it came down to the fucking wire.
Line out of contention.
It is insane for a competition to last a month straight, and it still be that close towards the end is like nail-bitingly scary.
To being within striking distance of first place. We needed something to uplift our spirits. People were talking as if the war was already lost. Hell, I convinced myself that we would lose the war just to stop the
Cause it hurts less. Yes, dude.
Unrelenting wave of stress and anxiety. We needed something big, but when you're in a shiny hunting competition, you can't just work harder and make magic happen. Sometimes you need the universe to just give you one.
You just have to keep the consistency. In hindsight, it was the most cinema ending we could get, but holy fuck, at the time I couldn't take it. Also, like, being a leader, like, once again, make sure the leaders put on a strong face. I can be confident and optimistic at times, but not if I'm not. I could not do this. I can't imagine the stress after hunting for hundreds and hundreds of hours on that final week, that final push, still managing mentally and emotionally to put on that strong face is unbelievable.
I sat and hoped our big day would come. 5 days left turned into 4. ETG was making up ground on us every day. They were just creeping closer and closer. And finally, with 2 days left, the tension.
We had people hyperventilating in voice chat. It's crazy, but it's true and it's real and it's realistic. There's a reason why every single like professional athlete like throws up before their first game, like, or like, I can't imagine. You don't hear a lot of it until athletes retire, but once again very similar stuff, like esports stuff to physical, real life athletes.
Was broken. We got our big break. I think I'll let the footage speak for itself. This is a short section I cut out of the F.A. Burke war recap video, which is my all-time favorite PokeMMO video on this website, and I'm not sure.
Go watch it. Go watch if you have not seen it. F.E. Burke's like hype montage of the war is so amazing.
That will ever
it's my
change.
favorite video.
He captured that moment of release just perfectly.
It's also has copyrighted music, so he did it just for the love of the game. Like it's such a beautiful. It's so good.
And I do have one final announcement after this clip, so stay tuned.
Thank you, Danny, for linking it. And I'll link your video again. I cannot listen to this because it has copyrighted music. Let me see if I can skip through. I can't. It'll strike the whole everything.
Just because of how
even that second that played might actually strike this video, but I hope not. Please, Mr. Paul Stanley, who made the amazing song "Live to Win," please don't strike me down.
Much it means to me personally. But the final announcement that I will be making is that I will be streaming a viewing of this very video.
No, you're perfect, Danny. Oh wait, is this already passed, right? Fuck, this would have been so sick to watch.
That you're watching on Wednesday, September 3rd, and Saturday.
Is there a stream VOD of this? I would love that. Yeah, Danny linked the I can link it again though. Danny linked the this video, this Field Team 7 video. If you're watching the video right now, remind me if it's not in the description, yell at me if it's not there. It should be this Field Team 7 Shiny Wars 2025, the Burke video. It's my favorite Pokemon video I've ever seen. Definitely watch it.
Saturday, September 6th, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Twitch channel at Danny with 6Ys. I'll be frequently pausing, giving extra context, answering viewer questions, basic Q&A stuff. I will also probably show off the spreadsheet in its entirety during those streams. So if you want to be part of the spreadsheet video, just swing by at those times. That is Wednesday, September 3rd at 5 p.m. and Saturday, September 6th at 5 p.m.
That's really cool.
Ask any questions you have about Shiny War, about my journey through PokeMMO, really anything you'd like.
People always, Danny's such a perfect example. People always ask me, is it too late to start playing PokeMMO? Like, it's been out for however many years. Is it too late? Danny started playing the game less than 2 years ago, if not 2 years ago, and he's one of the best, most respected players in the game now. It really just comes down to hard work and effort and how much time you have to put into the game.
I plan each stream to be maybe 1 or 2 hours, and I really hope you guys like them. I feel like I can better help people in a live chat rather than the YouTube comments section. So if you have a simple question, you're always free to drop it in the comments. But if you feel like you would have a more nuanced or difficult to answer question, maybe write it down and hold on to it until one of those streams. Either way, though, that is the end of this video. That is everything that I could reasonably think of that we did for...
Dude, this is one of my favorite PokeMMO videos. This video was so good. I can't get over the fact that you smuggled, like, smuggling 250k Dittos, the Chinese Ditto Syndicate, like, all the stuff, the thinking about and trying to prioritize around drama from the beginning. All the update stuff. Yeah, this is craziness, guys. It is so I've linked the video a ton, and I'll continue to do it. Please go like this video, go like it, subscribe to Danny. This video is one of my favorite videos I've reacted to maybe ever. It might be my favorite video I've ever reacted to on stream. It's up there. It's up there. The Night of the Ditto, there's a lot of things that I didn't even know about, even though I'm the in-team mister and involved in that community to some extent, but I was just I was doing my Iron Man, I was doing my own thing, you know. It's wild how much, it's crazy. It's just so insane how much happens and how much work goes into this. And I always say, I'm a big fan of just pursuing what philosophers call your categorical desires. Some people are going to look at your categorical desires and they're just not going to get it. People aren't going to understand you always, okay? Some people will watch people put this amount of effort into shiny hunting and PokeMMO and be like, oh, if you just put that into cancer research, we'd have solved cancer. The problem is, in life, you have to truly want something. You have to truly be obsessed with something to really dedicate your life to it and devolve into it that much. And you don't pick, you don't choose, and you don't pick what you're obsessed with. Some people are born on this earth, legitimately, it sounds silly, but I think it's true, to shiny hunt in PokeMMO. Some people are born to be the best crocheter in the world. I always say, I don't care what you're doing, as long as you're not hurting anybody, number one, or yourself, to a reasonable degree. I don't care what you do, just pursue your passions. People will, I'm sure there will be comments on this video laughing at these people, making fun of them, and I think it's all just, unfortunately, it's just jealousy and envy. Being this good at anything is so incredibly impressive. It's just such a testament of the human spirit, and I think it's a really beautiful thing. And I encourage everybody out there to pursue your categorical desires, which is a fancy word for just passions and hobbies and interests. So what you're saying is go incredibly hard. Basically, yeah, work hard, play hard. That's the moral of the story. Just pursue your passions. Don't let anybody keep you down from that. People are always going to hate, unfortunately. I didn't believe that until I didn't think that was true until I became a content creator. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was oversaid, but it's unfortunately true. Pursue your dreams. Do what you love, and thank you so much for watching. Like this video, like Danny's video, subscribe to me, subscribe to Danny, like literally before you subscribe to me. You can follow me on Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. If you like this kind of content, let me know in the comments. If you want to support this kind of content, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, gifted subs, really allow me to make this kind of stuff, guys. And PayPal and Venmo donations, the two best ways to support, because those two platforms take less of a cut than other subscriptions. So Venmo, PayPal donations go the longest way. They allow me to focus on making content like this. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Peace, Reno, and congrats to Field Team 7.